everyone, and welcome to the StressOut project, where we aim to discuss ways to manage work-related stress and burnout. My name is Elina, and I represent Emphasys Centre in Cyprus. Today, I have with me Dr. Maria Kontoulis, a licensed clinical psychologist, to discuss the stigma surrounding seeking help and ways to overcome it. Dr. Maria, welcome, and thank you for taking the time to participate in our podcast today. Before we begin, could you please introduce yourself and give us a brief overview of your background?
Sure. Thank you, Elina. It's an honor to be here with you guys. I was reading upon the type of work you guys are doing, and it's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
So it's an honor to be here.
Thanks.
I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I did all of my studying in the USA. Mm-hmm. I was also working there in University of Florida as a clinical faculty at the medical school. And I have many years of expertise in anxiety, OCD, and I'm currently working with teenagers and their families to be able to find resilience and improve the quality of their lives.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So before we get into the more technical questions, I just want us to give a brief definition of what the words stigma and stress mean, just so we can engage our audience better into what we're discussing today.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the term stigma, we usually refer to a set of negative beliefs, sometimes very unfair beliefs towards a situation or people or a group of people. Usually the outcome of stigma is negative attributions, negative outcomes, and it's definitely something that it's prominent in many areas and fields in the world.
And what about stress?
So stress is a state of tension when a person is going through a difficult situation. It's not a bad thing. In psychology, we don't use the terms bad or good feelings. It's a feeling that it's usually communicate to us a need we have, which is to get organized and be able to overcome a difficult situation.
Okay. So you said you use the terms good and bad, and you said we don't use it. So how important is it to seek help when we're feeling stressed?
Yeah, it's absolutely very crucial to be able to seek help. And allow me to do a small introduction here, Elina, on what feelings are. Okay. Feelings are a little communicators that they send a message without words, without much. It's just an instinctual state where feelings are giving us a hint of what our needs are. For example, we feel happy because a situation, a person makes us feel good. So happiness communicates to us that we need more of that. Okay. We feel disappointed when, let's say, a set of values we had or expectations towards a person or a situation was not met. So disappointment allows us to be able to reevaluate the situation, reevaluate the people that surround us, and make choices. Okay. Stress is a feeling where it communicates to us that there is a lot going on. There's a difficult situation, a difficult task that we have to be able to come up with solutions so we can get organized and resolve that. Anxiety, on the other hand, which is the extreme value of stress, let's say, it's pathological. Okay. And it comes, and it's the extreme form of stress where when we don't ask for help, when we don't acknowledge the situation, when we don't acknowledge that it's a difficult situation that we need to do something about, this can easily lead to anxiety, which is a psychological term we use, and it's pathological, and it needs to be addressed.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification between the two. Going back to stigma, which is also a very important topic in today's podcast, what do you think are some of the reasons of this stigma in the world? Like what caused us to not be able to seek help when we need it?
Yeah, that's a great question, Lina. Well, there are a lot of explanations towards it, but as a psychologist and based on my experience, what I think the problem here is that we live in a society where it's very individualistic, where success is very important, and oftentimes seeking help mental help is considered a sign of weakness.
Okay.
When actually, in reality, in the literature of resilience, the ability to communicate your needs and ask for help is actually the recipe for success. Okay. Because they've done an international study where they investigated the factors of success, and they identified success in many ways. Success in let's say the science field, Nobel Prizes, wealth, being able to popularity, being famous. And you know what's the one thing that everybody had in common? It was stick-to-itiveness and not giving up.
Okay.
So when people actually are able to understand that failure is part of success, and being able to help reassess the situation, ask for help, learn from your surroundings, learn from other people, is actually the recipe for success.
Okay. So key point is seeking help is actually a sign of strength.
Absolutely.
Not weakness.
Absolutely.
Okay. And linking it to the stigma and everything that you've already mentioned, what do you think are some misconceptions, in your professional opinion, surrounding mental health?
Yeah, many people think that going to a psychologist means that you're crazy, means that you're weak, means that many people also confuse psychology with psychiatry. Not that going to psychiatry is a bad thing. If you need medication, you need medication. It's actually a very good thing. When everybody goes through difficult times, and mental health is also a part of health. Like, for example, if you have an infection and you need to take antibiotics, let's say, then you have to take antibiotics. It's the same thing. People go through difficult times and they don't actually seeking help in preventing the situation from escalating into something that is without return. It's a very smart thing to do.
Okay.
So many people think that asking for help, going to a psychologist is a sign of weakness. They think that they're crazy. And it's associated with these negative terms.
But that's definitely not the reality of things.
Absolutely not. Actually, the truth is that nowadays I see a huge improvement in that sense, which is it's becoming a trend, actually, to have a psychologist, which is really good thing to hear, especially amongst the youth. I work with a lot of families, so many families, they come and ask for help for their children, which has also been a taboo.
Okay.
And also depends on the culture where you're in.
So you kind of led me to my next question. So can you elaborate on the culture and maybe the Cypriot culture a little bit? Because we are a small island, and I'm only assuming that being secluded in the middle of the ocean, I don't know. Can you just discuss our society, our culture, and how this doesn't
absolutely help? Yeah. Cyprus is an island with a heavy history. We had a collective trauma with the war, which brings actually the trauma is experienced as stress and anxiety.
Yes.
It's under the post-traumatic stress disorder, which is usually a disorder that comes after trauma, is under the umbrella of anxiety, and this is how it's felt. Okay. So Cyprus is indeed a country where people went through a lot, and communication and communicating our feelings is not our biggest strength.
Right.
Strength, because Cypriots usually they don't talk about their feelings. They find it very difficult to assert themselves.
Okay.
And we also come from a culture where usually the parents take over and they take care of their children's business without letting them resolve their issues.
Right.
So indeed, Cyprus is a country where we still have work to do in terms of mental health. However, with the YESI coming here, which is the national health system, where they have included mental health, and is a very good program when it comes to mental health, is now more accessible to people, because mental health also can cost money.
Yes.
So people now through ESE are able to seek help, and they get significant coverage for that. And I think that parents are more educated. They read, they learn, and they're more willing and open to come for help.
Yeah, so that was a hopeful note. You've definitely seen some change. And you mentioned the ESE, but what other ways other than maybe not professional, what other ways are there for people to overcome their stress?
Yeah. So I'm gonna quote another study that was done, which was the longest study that was ever done in the world.
Okay.
It was a longitudinal study that lasted 70 years. Oh, wow. It was done in Harvard, and it changed 5 or 6 coordinators, And what they've done in that study is that they followed people for 70 years, finding what makes them happy. Okay. So they studied, first of all, Harvard students, and then they followed them. And then when people died, they just replaced them for 70 years. Okay. And do you know what was the one thing that predicted happiness for people over and over and over and over again? What? It was relationships. Okay. Relationships. It wasn't how successful they were. It wasn't how what careers they had, how rich they were, but it was how many close people they had surrounding them. Okay. So to answer your question, Elina, having friends, people, loved ones around you where you feel you have close relationships and opening up to them, communicating with them, is actually what will prevent you from eventually having to seek out professional help. That doesn't also mean, though, that this is enough. Sometimes it's not enough. Right. But it's a great prevention for people's mental health and being able to ride out a difficult situation, seek out advice, having somebody to hear you, having someone to rely on. Right. So relationships and asking for help.
Okay. And then I just want to get into your experiences a little bit more. Did you ever have a patient who eventually had to come and seek help but was ashamed or embarrassed about it? And if so, how did you help them override those negative feelings, I'm assuming?
Yeah. So when someone ends up in our office, usually they're ready and they're willing to ask for help. However, there are many people, they don't know how to ask for help. And it's very hard for them to open up. And this is the art of psychotherapy. The art of psychotherapy is being able to make the other person feel comfortable, create a safe place for them to feel that they can just be themselves and open up. And that's the art of therapy.
Okay. And we kind of touched this, but I want to go more into the family aspect of it. So we said that it's important to have relationships with people because, especially people we trust, we can seek help and look up to them to help us if they can. But what about our family? I feel like sometimes, as kids, we're going to go to our mom and dad, but then again, it's not that we don't trust them, but as kids, we're like, oh, like, what is our mom and our dad going to say about it, So how do we, if you had to help someone understand how to reach out to their parents more, what would you say?
Yeah, so first of all, I would like to address parents first and then the kids. So I would say that parents is one of the hardest jobs we have, is to keep our children close to us and being able to the house to be a safe place for them. Obviously, this is not done by nagging or asking all the time questions or being a helicopter parent, but it's done by being able to feel the vibe of the children, understand when they're not okay, and invite them for a conversation and allowing them to come. And it also depends on the age. Obviously, teens and youth, they need their time and their space. So invitation and then you allow them to come to you, but invitation needs to come first from the parents.
Okay.
It's absolutely very important for the parents to be able to instinctually understand where that something is not okay.
Okay.
And when we're mindful and when we're present with the family, and that's where family traditions come in place, Elina. Having family traditions, like, for example, eating one meal a day together, or having, I don't know, those Sundays cookouts, the famous cookouts in Cyprus, but having these family traditions where children feel connected to their family is absolutely very important.
Yeah.
And then for children, it's very important to know that family is family. Of course, there are some parents that can be very judgmental, and actually they do more harm than good.
Yeah.
But find one adult in your life, find one family member in your life where you feel connected, so that you can share what your problem is, because no one has to go through a difficult situation alone. No one.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it difficult. When people go through a difficult situation alone, that's usually where stress becomes anxiety, anxiety becomes depression, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to take you a little bit outside of our family and our friends, and I'm going to introduce you to our workplace. Obviously, our workplace is a place where we spend half of our day, maybe more than half of our day. So it's a very important aspect in our lives. How do you think we can manage work-related stress, and what does the workplace do about its employees? Yeah,
that's an excellent question, Elina. So, like you said, work takes up a big chunk of our life, and it's very important to find ourselves, if not happy all the time where our workplace is, at least to be able to survive in there. So, setting healthy boundaries with your managers is very important. If there are demands for you on you that you feel that you cannot overcome, don't just say yes when you can't. You know, we teach people how to treat us. This is like a logo we use a lot in psychology. We teach people how to treat us. So when we have a lot to manage, it's very important to communicate that with our manager.
Yeah.
And it's very important to set those boundaries, that this is my limit. It's also very important to schedule ahead of time your vacation, your self-care vacation.
Yeah.
Don't just wait for Christmas and Pascha and Easter to be able to take vacation. Schedule your vacation ahead of time and do your self-care. Also set boundaries. When you leave work, you leave work. It's very important to balance that.
Yeah. So speaking of setting boundaries, okay. And now to the mental health industry. I feel like throughout the years, it's definitely gotten better if I take my own personal experience and, you know, people I know, but I feel like mental health, the industry itself has a stigma. So how does, and you would obviously know better, so how does the industry itself make itself more attractive and, you know, allows people to ask for help?
Yeah, it is true. People don't enter mental health to become rich. It's definitely one of those fields that they get less funds, less, you know, all the even research grants, all these things. It is true that mental health has a stigma in and of itself.
Yeah.
Even in Cyprus, like think about it, the Ministry of Social Welfare is not even a ministry. It's an Ifibourio.
Okay.
It's I don't know how you'd say it in English. It's like a sub-ministry.
Okay.
It's not a ministry in and of itself. That in and of itself says a lot. It's very profound. How, you know, social welfare does not have its own ministry.
And it should, because it's such an important part of our lives.
Absolutely. Actually, the Ministry of Social Welfare now is called to deal with immigration, all the crisis and all these things without really significant support.
Yeah.
So what we do in our field to be able to promote mental health is, for October, for example, is a mental health month.
Yes. Yeah.
So a lot of us would go around, do this podcast, do education for the community. We do a lot of workshops. For example, I go to many also big companies and we talk about how to improve the work culture and how to increase resilience in these workplaces. So many of my colleagues, they do YouTube videos, podcasts, we write books, a lot of self-help books. I have to say they don't really work.
Okay.
But it's also another way for someone to start thinking about mental health and start asking themselves whether I can do this on my own or I can seek professional help.
Okay.
So through this education, and being able to spread the word.
Okay.
And we also have lobbies where we advocate at YESI and different, in different political parties. We advocate for mental health to get more grants. Right now we're advocating because YESI only hires clinical psychologists for the YESI program. So now we advocate for counseling psychologists to be able to join YESI and open this.
Yeah. It's definitely very interesting that you say this, because I feel like a lot of people don't really know what happens from the side of the mental health professionals. So I'm glad you kind of cleared that out. And just to wrap up this extremely interesting conversation, I just would like you to leave our audience with a wish or a hope. What would that be?
Okay. I'm going to talk about, really quick, I'm going to talk about the 3 secrets of resilience. Okay. The first secret of resilience is watch your thoughts. Just because you have a thought, it doesn't mean it's true. And it doesn't mean that you have to do anything about it. The thought is a thought.
Yes.
So be able to spend more time in your life than in your head.
Okay.
This is very important.
Yeah.
Secret number 2 is ask for help. Being able to communicate your needs and being able to ask for help is what will prevent you from going through a roller coaster or going through this alone. So you don't have to go through this alone. Ask for help. And the third secret is the question, why not me? A lot of young people ask, why me? And they get stuck in these questions that are dead end and they don't lead them into growth.
Okay.
Life is difficult. Things happen. Learn from them and bounce back stronger.
Okay. Yeah, that was definitely a great closing. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to participate in our podcast today. I feel like we cleared the air about a lot of things, and your insights were great about managing stress and, the stigma surrounding this. And back to you guys, to our audience, I want to thank you for watching our podcast today. Stay tuned for the next episodes and follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook at StressOut Project. And thank you again.